Hey everybody, Sean with the Good Dog with our TGD training tip. Gang, some real talk. Are we still having this conversation? Are we still debating whether pure positive, force-free, whether those training methodologies, those approaches, those philosophies, those ideologies are actually viable approaches to creating truly balanced, truly reliable dogs? Like, is this still happening? Every once in a while, I just want to bang my head against the wall because I can't believe that the conversation is still going on. That we actually think that we're going to reward a dog for all the stuff that we want, teaching it. I like this, I like this, I like this. And then whenever they do anything we don't want, we're going to ignore it. We're not going to give the same amount of power to trying to train what we like as we are to try and remove what we don't like. We're going to use this non-existent kind of power, this avoiding, this ignoring, because our ideology demands that we only do nice things. We only reward. We don't use power. We don't use pressure. We don't oppress dogs with our desires, right? This is a much bigger conversation than just dog training. The more you look at the landscape and the more you see that's going on in universities and in human resource departments in big corporations and even small corporations, you'll see that this narrative of power, of pushing back against power, about negating anything that has any kind of leadership or any kind of real power or any kind of force or anything like that to cause anyone to do something, that there's this huge pushback against it across the board, across society. And it's trickled down, of course, into dog training. And what do we get? We get this ridiculous, inane, incredibly silly, but it's been pushed so much. It's had so much behind it, so many people advocating for it, so much bullshit, all sorts of trumped up studies and cherry-picked studies and so-called science. Investigate that science, investigate those studies, actually do the hard work to find out what those studies reveal. You might find something different than what science says, or modern training and this and that. What you'll find is that there's a huge amount of bullshit being thrown at you, and in the hopes that you won't do the hard work to try and actually think and try and actually discern what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in just a common sense approach. But then you can look at science, you can look at how people learn, you can look at how animals learn, and you can figure out how they learn without us being even present, how consequences that come their way that are negative, they go, ooh, I don't like that, I won't do that anymore. Like a cactus doesn't ignore a dog, right? A cactus corrects a dog if a dog gets too close, and the dog goes, oh, I don't want to get up and shimmy next to a cactus because cactus hurts. Uncomfortable. Got it. Next. Cat. Cat doesn't go, I'll ignore the dog and maybe he'll stop chasing me. No. Cat gives him a swat. Boom. Dog goes, wow, that wasn't great. I don't like that. Maybe I won't chase the cat anymore. And so on, and so on, and so on. This is such a ridiculously obvious, mind-bogglingly obvious truth that we've been so boondoggled into believing and buying into. And because the narrative, the marketing behind it it's such a great story. It's a story when you have a story that everyone wants to believe, man, you're halfway home. Or maybe you're even more than halfway home. Everybody wants to believe that because dogs are our babies. Just want to love them, just want to reward them. We don't want to do anything that makes them uncomfortable. We just want to have all the good stuff, all the fun stuff, all the sweet stuff, all the loving hard stuff. Any of that hard stuff that makes dogs uncomfortable so they actually learn and can be reliable and be safe and be well behaved. Wow, we don't want any of that stuff. And if there's an approach out there that says you don't need it, well, fuck, sign me up. I'm all for it. So anyways, I just want to chime in with the ridiculousness of this, that it's almost not worth even debating, except that so many people are buying into it that you kind of have to push back and you kind of have to say, wait a second, guys, this is a bunch of bullshit. We need to actually talk about this and debate it. But in reality, it's so overly simplistic. It's so full of holes. It's so dumb, like literally dumb, that we shouldn't even be talking about it. And yet, here I am at the lovely Mississippi talking about it. So, gang, sit down and think about life. Think about you. Think about consequences. Think about how they teach you yes, no, what's good, what's bad. They're all incentives. You should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And then imagine removing one of them, removing the consequences of things that you don't like. And then imagine what your behavior would be like. I don't think it takes a genius to realize that behavior would quickly devolve into something you're not so keen on, and the rest of society wouldn't be so keen on, which is why we have a bunch of dogs that society aren't so keen on, because nobody wants to actually fucking train their dogs and actually do the hard work and do the things that are uncomfortable, because either they're lazy or they've bought into a great story that sounds good because they're too lazy to actually do the work and actually think it through and go like, or I don't know. I'll leave an empty option below. But the reality is, I don't want to hard time owners for falling for it. But like, gang, you have to be smart consumers. You have to be smarter than just taking a well-designed marketing message and just running with it and saying, that sounds great. That's what I want. You have to actually look at, like, there's a lot of things like 60-second abs, or, you know what I mean? Like, become a millionaire overnight, work from home from an island, any of this shit. It all sounds great, but you have to do a little work and figure out, is that really plausible? Is that something that I can really, like, make happen? Is it sustainable? Is it real? Is it true? Is it full of shit? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, just because something's got a good marketing message doesn't mean that it's real. Doesn't mean that it's true. And even if they put some things forward that actually sound like they love to leverage science and they love to leverage studies, but if you'll do the work of actually looking through the science and the studies, you'll find they're chock full of holes and they're cherry picked and they're full of shit, just like the marketing message of Pure Positive and Force Free is. So all I want to say is, if you're down for 60-second abs and you're down for being a millionaire, you know, overnight and working from an island, and you believe that that's all entirely possible, then maybe you're ripe for signing up for Pure Positive Force Free dog training, because maybe you're that person that believes that the impossible is possible. But on the other hand, if you look at all these other parts of life where marketing messages are being sold to you that are ridiculous, inane, and insane, and you go like, that's ridiculous, that's inane, that's insane, and I would never fall for it, make sure you check in on your dog training marketing message that you've bought and examine whether there's any parallels between that and the stuff that you said, I'd never buy into that. And then think, why have I bought into this dog training thing? Why have I bought into this force-free, pure positive, just reward what I like, ignore what I don't like? Why have I bought into this? Probably some heart stuff, probably some head stuff of wanting just to be in that good space with your dog and not having to be the heavy, like how to raise kids with no consequences in 24 easy steps. Who doesn't want that? You never have to be the heavy. You never have to ground them. You never have to have an argument. You never have to hear your kid say, I hate you. Any of that stuff. I'm sure we'd all love to have that. Reality says otherwise. So it also says otherwise with your dogs. So look at the entire picture of how you live your life and how you process what is real, what's not real, what's possible, what's not possible, what's bullshit and what's not bullshit. And then please apply it to your dog training methodology that you're signed up for or about to sign up for or believing in or supporting or what have you. All right? Show them the good dog. Go have yourself a good day and think.